What's up, everybody? I'm back. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Once again, welcome to my show. It's Tuesday, June 27th, and now it's 11:33 a.m. here in lovely Cincinnati, Ohio. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Welcome to part 2 of Teacher Mark's English Tips. Part 2 we're going to do in just a couple of minutes here. So I am giving you all of my best English tips. This is going to be in my book that I'm writing. So I'm giving you a preview of my book, all the things that will be in my book when I finish it. And so in the first live stream earlier today, we talked about many things. We talked about the purpose of language, and we talked about being a language warrior and the 5 parts of language learning and why it's not about speed, it's about control. And we talked about how to think in English. And we talked about why you need to practice 1,000 times. We talked about many, many things. The learning and comfortability connection and how to find your fixes. And your strengths and weaknesses. And why mistakes are good. And why you should fight your embarrassment and your shame and your fear and your shyness. They are your enemy. They are your enemies. And why memorizing is the worst way to learn. We talked about many, many things. Wow, we did cover a lot of material. That's good. And now we will do part 2. Part 2 of Teacher Mark's English Tips. Melina says, how can I improve my reading? Well, Melina, improving reading is pretty easy. You just need to read more. It's really all there is to it. So, find books that are, 1, interesting to you. If a book is interesting to you, then you will be more engaged. Your mind will be more engaged with that material if it's interesting to you. So then you'll remember it and it will be more valuable to your learning process. So find a book that you like, find a book that you're interested in, and read. Okay? But again, Melina, it doesn't have to be a book. I love books, and books are very important, but reading is what's important, right? So I want you to read as much as you can, hopefully from good sources, okay? I read articles every day. A lot. I read a lot of articles. Articles about everything. Articles about music, articles about science, articles about art and politics and religion. I read articles about everything. And when I read that article about, maybe it's about politics and they're talking about, Mozambique. And I don't know a lot about Mozambique. So then I'll search more and learn more about Mozambique and where is it and what's the capital and, what languages do they have? And I'll read more. Be curious. Be curious. Ask questions in your mind and then go find the answers. This is how we learn. Be curious. Be curious, okay? That's the most important step of learning. You got to be curious. Okay? Okay, well, let's get back to part two. Part two of Teacher Mark's English Tips. So, next, we're going to talk about one of my most important theories about speaking American English. American English is a big mouth language. Look at my mouth, everyone. Does your mouth look like my mouth when you're speaking? Do you open your mouth like I do? Do you move your mouth as much as I do? Or do you look like this when you speak English? Because if you look like this when you speak English, then your English is probably not very good. But if you look like this when you speak English, then you will speak very, very clearly. Get it? English is a big mouth language. English is a big mouth language. So you must learn how to open your mouth more. Some of you, your native language is naturally smaller. For example, Chinese. Chinese language, the mouth is small for almost everything that you say in Chinese. You can use a small mouth. English, let me correct that. Properly spoken English needs a big mouth. So, if you listen to my nephew Alex, who I love very dearly, I love my nephew very much, but he does mumble. He's a mumbler. To mumble means when you kind of talk like this because you're not talking very loudly and you're not talking very clearly and you're not moving your mouth very much. And if he comes on my live stream, I will tell him he cannot talk like that with you. He must learn how to move his mouth. And here's the secret, everyone. Think like an actor. That's it. Think about acting. That's what I'm doing when I speak like this. Actors move their mouths because part of the movement is part of what they're seeing, and that's part of the language. So the amount of movement in your mouth is part of the language. Okay? So, how can you learn how to have a big mouth? Melina, what do I mean by a big mouth? Here's what I mean, Melina. What I mean is you need to practice your English vowels. The English vowels. A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. And look at my mouth. A, E, I, O, U. And we have the other sounds. Those are the long sounds. And we also have the short sounds, right? Ah, eh, I, O, A. Ah, eh, I, O, A. Ah, eh, I, O, A. Look at my mouth and look at the positions of my mouth. Look at the positions. Ah, eh, I, O, A. Ah, eh, I, O, A. Okay? Abdo says it's difficult that way. You are right. It is difficult that way. That's the point, Abdo. If you make the practice exaggerated, bigger, make your practice big and exaggerated and difficult, if your practice is big and your practice is exaggerated and your practice is difficult, then your normal speech will be easy. Make your practicing more exaggerated, and then your natural speak will be more easy. Okay, your natural speaking. All right? So English is a big mouth language. A, E, I, O, U, A, E, I, O. And you must learn how to speak like an actor. All right? Actors, not movie actors. No. Not TV actors. No. I'm talking about stage actors. Real actors. Not pretty people on a camera. No offense. Well, some offense. You know who you are. Anyway, real actors, they learn how to speak with proper diction. Diction means the proper movements of the mouth to produce the proper sounds. Clear sounds. Okay? And exaggerated movements of the mouth is how you can make your voice much more clear. But again, look at my mouth. Look how much I'm moving my mouth. I'm doing that for you. I'm doing that for you so that you can see how a mouth should look like if you're not lazy when you speak. Actors can't be lazy when they speak because speaking is their job. Every word they say, they must put everything they have into that word. So every word they speak has meaning. Yes, use a big mouth when you speak. Okay? Yeah, it's that simple. Honestly, it really is. For some of you, I could talk to you, and in 10 minutes I can correct your pronunciation and make it at least 50% better, just by teaching you how to open your mouth. Okay? For my Chinese audience here, when I speak Chinese, I use a smaller mouth. I try to think about using a smaller mouth because the Chinese language is a small mouth language. Okay? So, these are things that you need to pay attention to. Okay? English is a big mouth language. Let me give you one last tip. So, A, E, I, O, U, A, E, I, O. Now, you can combine those sounds with consonants like B, 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 ba, 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 bi, ba, ba, C, 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 ka, 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 ki, ka, ka. D, 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 da, 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 di, da, da. F, 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 fa, fa, fi, fa, fa. Does it sound funny? It does, of course. Do I care? Nope. No, I don't care at all. Because it works. I don't care if it looks funny. I'm an adult man. I only care if it works. It is difficult. Okay, so, 说慢一点. Slow down. Slow down. A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. Ba, be, bi, ba, ba. A, E, I, O, U. Ba, be, bi, ba, ba. A, E, I, O, U. Ba, be, B, ba, ba. Okay. If it's hard, then good. If it's hard, then good, because that means that you need to do it. If it's hard, then that means you really need to do it because your mouth doesn't know what to do yet. Your mouth is not comfortable yet, so that's why it's hard. But the more you do it, the more comfortable your mouth will become. That's the point. And then, if you practice that, then when you speak, your words will come out much more clearly. Yes, you should do that with all the letters, and you can combine letters too. So you could do the letters CH, right? Ch, 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 right? So ch, 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 cha, cha, ch, cha, cha, or sh, 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 sha, sha, sh, sha, sha. Or you could try tr, tr, tra, 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 tra. Okay? I know it sounds like baby talk. Doesn't matter. It has no, I don't care if it sounds funny. I only care if it's effective, and it is the most effective way. Okay? So there's a lot you can do with that, and that will help you to open your mouth more, and that will help you to speak more clearly. All right? English is a big mouth language. All right. But let's talk about your accent. Let's talk about your accent. How many of you like your accent? When you speak English, how many of you, do you like your accent? Do you like your accent when you speak English? Anyone? Who says yes? Who says no? Kirsten says yes. Sophia says no. Belen says why not? Layla says yep. Adele says no. Okay, so we have a little bit of a mix of yes and no, right? Do you like your accent? Yes or no? Well, let me tell you something. Let me ask one more question. How many of you want to get rid of your accent? How many of you want to get rid of your accent? Parker says, I like the native speaker's accent. Me. So you want to sound like you are from America, right? You want to sound like you're from America, right? Well, I have good news for you. You already sound like you're from America. Let me ask you a question. Where are Americans from? Where are Americans from? Americans, a very, very, very small number of us are from America. That's the native Americans, right? The Native Americans, there's very few of them. The rest of us, 98%, maybe 99% of the country, from someplace else. That's right. So, I want you to do the math now. If America is a country made of people from all places, then every accent is an American accent. Shocking! Wow! What an idea! What an idea. So, my grandmother was American, but she had an accent because she was from Slovakia. But she's American. So, let me be clear. You do not need to sound like me. You only need to be clear when you speak. That's it. If people can't understand you, that's a problem. But if people understand you, then there's no problem. And I want to tell you one more thing. Your accent is beautiful. If everyone in the world sounded like me, that would be really, 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 really boring. I don't want everyone to sound like me. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about crayons, everyone. Crayons. I want you to think about crayons. When you buy a box of crayons, do you buy a box of all black crayons? Do you buy a box of all gray crayons? No. When you buy a box of crayons, you want all the lovely colors. Guess what? Your accent is your color. Your accent is your color. Don't lose your color. Don't change your color. But I want you to think about something. If I take this lovely crayon, this lovely blue crayon, now, right now, this crayon is nice and sharp, so I can write my name very easily, very small, because it's sharp, right? But if my crayon is dull, if the crayon is dull, can I write my name very clearly, very small? If the crayon is dull, can I write my name very small, very clearly? No. So what do you need to do? If you have a dull crayon, then what do you need to do? Sharpen it. That's right. Sharpen it. So, I don't want you to lose your color. I just want you to sharpen your crayon. So what that means is I just want you to find all the words that you say that you don't say clearly and make them clear. Sharpen them. Sharpen your words. That's all you need to do. You don't have to sound like me. That will take forever. But you can sound really, really good tomorrow if you just sharpen your crayon. Don't lose your accent. Your accent is your color. I love your color. The world is a better place with color. So, don't lose your accent. Just sharpen it. Okay? Got it, everyone? That's one of my favorite lessons. Your accent is your color. Okay, let's go on. So let me give you the 4 steps of speaking practice. How about that? The 4 steps of speaking practice. Yeah? That good? Okay, pay attention. If you want to improve your speaking, then you must speak. If you want to improve your speaking, then you must speak. And right now, many of you, you're making excuses for why you don't practice speaking. So I am going to give you 4 ways to practice speaking, so you have no more excuses. Okay? Level 1. Step 1. If you can find a native speaker, then find a native speaker. So maybe you live in a big city. If you live in a big city like Tokyo or Beijing or Paris or Rio, if you live in a big city, then there are native speakers there. And you can go find them and make friends, and boom! Now you have a friend who's a foreigner who speaks English, and you can practice your English with them. Okay? How do you find them? How can you find a foreigner? How can you find a foreigner? Hello Talk is a great opportunity, but what if you find what if you want to find a real foreigner? That's right, Adam. No, Arvin, no. Bushing, no, not on Tinder. At a restaurant, if you want to find a foreigner, find the foreign food. Find the foreign food. So, in your city, there's one restaurant where all the foreigners go. On maybe Saturday, they go there for breakfast. So go there and say, hey, can I buy you a coffee and practice my English with you? They'll say yes. Okay? So, find a native speaker if you can and try to practice with them. And now Zara says, but what if I practice with somebody, but she's not a native, but she has a great level? Good for you, Zara, because that's level 2. Step one, try to find a native speaker. Step 2 or level 2, non-native speaker. Find a non-native speaker like you. Somebody else who wants to practice their English. And Zara says, but what if her level is really good? Or what if her level is not good? They might know things you don't know. You might know things they don't know. You can help each other. You can help each other. You are looking for the perfect practice partner. And because you're only looking for the perfect partner, there are 20 good partners right there. There's 20 of them. They're good ones right there. But you won't play with them. No, you don't want to play with the good ones. You only want to play with the perfect one. Nope. That doesn't make sense. So step 1 is find a native speaker. Step 2, yeah, you're right, Zara. Find a non-native speaker. Someone like you that you can practice with. Go get coffee once a week. Go have lunch once a week. And practice English. Okay? So step 1, native speaker. Step 2, non-native speaker. Step 3. Step 3. Step 3 is teach. Teach someone. Teach someone. If you really want to know the fastest way to learn, the fastest way to learn is to teach. It's a paradox. Do you know why? Who learns more? Who learns more, the student or the teacher? Who learns more, the student or the teacher? The teacher learns more. The teacher learns more. Why does the teacher learn more? Because when you are a teacher, now there are 10 minds or 15 minds or 25 minds. And those 25 minds are all asking you questions. So you have to answer not just the questions that you can think of, you have to answer the questions that everyone can think of. So the smartest thing I did was I started teaching when I was 18. Okay? And I started learning very quickly because I was teaching. When you teach, one, you have to think about it and think about, how can I explain this thing? How can I explain this thing? And if you can't explain it, then maybe you don't really understand it. Okay? And if you're teaching someone, then you're repeating what you need to know. So that's great practice. If you're teaching 5 people, you're repeating what you need to know 5 times. If you're teaching 10 people, you're repeating what you need to know 10 times. Okay? Abdo, how could I teach in this early age? Abdo, because I was teaching drums. I was teaching music, drums, when I was 18. But Abdo, teaching is teaching. It doesn't really matter what the subject is. Okay? So teaching is one of the best ways that you can learn. So get a student. So step 1, native speaker. Step 2, non-native speaker. Step 3, teach, teach, teach. And then finally, step 4. If you can't find a native speaker, if you can't find a non-native speaker, and if you can't find a student, then you still need to practice speaking. So you have to practice with yourself. Watch TV or a movie and talk about it with yourself. I like that guy. He's funny. I like her. She's cute. This movie is great. This movie is stupid. Just have a conversation out loud with yourself. Okay? I often use the analogy of the game of chess. Chess is a game, right? And the masters of the game of chess, how do they practice? Chess masters, how do they practice? They practice by themselves. They play the white pieces, then they turn the board, then they play the black pieces, then they turn the board, then they play the white pieces. So you can do the same thing. Hi, Mark. How are you doing today? I'm pretty good, Mark. What's up? Not much. I just have to do a little teaching today, a little streaming. Later on, I think I'm going to go for a hike if it doesn't rain. That sounds like a really great day, Mark. I'm having a conversation with myself. You can too. So there are the 4 steps of speaking practice. 1, native speaker. 2, non-native speaker. 3, teach someone or many people if you can. And 4, talk to yourself if you have no one else. Talk to yourself if you have no one else. Okay? All right, so let's move on to the next subject. Aisha, I see that you have a question, but no, I'm sorry. I'm not taking anyone on the stage today because I am teaching a class about all of my best English tips. So maybe just listen and I might answer your question because maybe it's already part of my material. Okay? So let's see. Let's talk about here's a good one. Is grammar important? Is grammar important? Many people ask me this question. Teacher Mark, is grammar really important or not? So, here's my answer. Is grammar important? No. Next question. Ultimately, no. Grammar's not that important. Okay? So here's my true answer about grammar. If you're in school, grammar is important. If you're at work, grammar is important. If you are taking a test, grammar is important. But if you're not at school, you're not at work, and you're not taking a test, then grammar is less important. Less important. I won't say not important. I'll say less important. Okay? Here's what I mean. What I mean is this. If you want to speak with perfect grammar, and because you want to speak with perfect grammar, you don't speak. You don't practice because you're afraid to make mistakes, so you won't speak, then no, that's not working for you. You are so afraid of making mistakes in grammar that you're not practicing. So, that's why I'm saying that no, grammar's not that important. It's more important that you try to communicate. And if you make mistakes, good. Because then you'll learn from them. All right? So, at school, grammar is important. At work, grammar is important. If you're taking a test, grammar is important. If you're at the grocery store with your friend, no, it's not that important. So if I say, I want to go to the store, that's perfect grammar, and you understand me. But if I also say, I want go store, that's not perfect grammar, but you understand me. Right? Okay? So, that's the point, is that I don't want you to think that grammar is king. No, grammar's a little private in the military. He's not that important. Okay? Grammar thinks he's important because when you go to school, he's the boss. But outside of school and outside of work and outside of taking a test, grammar is not the boss. That's my point. Okay? Abdo says, but grammar makes sense in your mind. And again, yes, I didn't say grammar is not important. I said it's not as important. So trying to express yourself is more important than grammar. That's the thing. That's what you need to understand. Trying to express yourself is always more important than grammar. Practicality is always more important than technicality. Practicality over technicality. Okay? All right. So there's your answer. Is grammar important? Not that important. So yes, I want you to always remember that you should improve your grammar, and I want you to continue to try to improve your grammar. But I don't want you to think that grammar is hiding behind you like a bear, ready to attack you every time you make a mistake. But that's how many of you act, like grammar is this bear that's waiting to attack you if you make a mistake. There's no bear. Make mistakes. It's okay. Don't worry. All right? Let's see. Fabio says, but how can you identify your mistakes if you don't know about grammar? Like I said, Fabio, I didn't say you shouldn't know about grammar. I didn't say you shouldn't try to improve your grammar. I'm saying you shouldn't be mastered by your grammar. I'm saying you shouldn't be dominated by your grammar. You should be the dominator of grammar, not letting your grammar dominate you. That's what you do. Grammar is dominating you, so you won't speak because you're afraid of grammar. I'm not afraid of grammar. Okay? Don't be afraid of grammar. And when you find a mistake, make a note. When you find a mistake, make a note. Learning is a journey of self-exploration. You must find out what you know and what you don't know. And when you find things you don't know or don't understand, figure out why. Which one is more important, grammar, speaking, or listening? Listening is the most important. That's why we have 2 ears, but only 1 mouth. And if you speak before you listen in the jungle, maybe you'll get killed. Okay? All right, everybody. Let's go on to my next chapter. My next chapter in my book. Let's talk about the wonderful word fluent. Let's talk about the word fluent. Who wants to be fluent? Who wants to be fluent? Okay, let's see. Rayan, Fabio, Sophia, Melina, Dance Baby, they all want to be fluent. Okay, now I want you to tell me, what does fluent mean? What does fluent mean? Can you tell me the meaning of fluent? What does fluent mean? It doesn't mean you speak fast, no. It doesn't really mean you speak clearly, no. Sarah says it means that you can use the language freely. Right. Okay, let's start with that, Sarah. So, Sarah, you're from Iran, so that means you speak Persian. Can you speak freely in Persian about anything? If I ask you about microbiology in Persian, can you explain microbiology to me in Persian? Advanced microbiology. Could you explain advanced astrophysics to me? My point is that the word fluent is not well defined. And because the word fluent is not well defined, it doesn't really have any value in language learning. There's no point in trying to reach a goal that you can't define. Let me say that one more time. There's no point in trying to reach a goal that you can't define. If you can't define what fluent is, then you can't be fluent. But there's a better way to think about words. There's a better way to think about your words. I don't want you to think about being fluent. I want you to think about being musical. I want you to think about being musical with your language. So what does that mean? What does musical mean? If I say, that sounds musical, what does that mean? Musical. Yes, musical. What does musical mean? Harmony, rhythm, those are part of musical, being musical, that's right. Okay, so being musical, what does being musical mean? It means something sounds like music. Music is something that sounds good to the ears. There's some pattern that you can hear that sounds good to your ears. So that's all you should do with your language. Learn how to be musical with your language. That's it. You just need to find simple patterns that you can use that people understand and that make sense. That's what music is. Music can be simple. Music can be complicated. But beautiful music can be simple or complicated. So you don't need to be fluent. You need to be musical. And that just means you need to think about your language and think about performing the words. Perform your words. That's what I'm doing right now. When I teach, I'm performing. Everyone. It's acting, kind of. Okay? And so, yeah, words are like music. So, for example, one moment here. Let me find something for you. Okay, let's see. I could say... One moment. Where are the words? There it is. I could say this. Listen to me. I'm going to say something 2 different times, and I want you to tell me which one is better. Okay? O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name. Or, if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet. Or, O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name. Or, if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet. Musical. Words are only words until a person makes them have meaning. You have to give your words music. You have to give your words music. That's all. So, stop worrying about this dreamy land of fluency. Stop worrying about that because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, this world where you're fluent. I'm fluent now. No, you're not. You can't define it, so you can't be it. Okay? Don't be fluent, be musical. And music is good to everyone's ears. That's the point. Okay? All right. Yeah. Language is like music, everyone. Language is like music. Okay, let's go. Let's see. Oh, so we talked about speaking. We talked about speaking practice, and we were talking about how about we talk about writing practice? How about we talk about writing practice, everyone? Sarah, there is no definition of fluency. Fluent is a stupid word that no one should use because it has no value. Put it this way, Sarah. I'm a drummer. Okay? So, can I play everything? No. Can I play most things? Yes. So, am I fluent at music? I can play rock and jazz and blues and funk and pop and hip hop and bluegrass and country and Latin music and Brazilian music and African music. I can play all of those, but maybe I can't play Slovakian music, or maybe I can't play Russian music. So am I fluent? It's a stupid word. The word fluent has done more damage to language learning than any other word, because it's a goal that you all want that no one will ever get. So forget about the word fluent and just try to be musical. Okay? You can be musical now. You can be musical now. You're dreaming of being fluent one day in the future, but you can be musical now. Okay? Dun 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 dun. Is that one? I think that's Tango Argentino. Be musical, everyone. Be musical. All right, so let's talk about writing. How about writing? Let's talk about writing. How are you practicing your writing? How are you practicing your writing, everybody? When you write, how do you practice writing? What do you do? Adam says, just write. Okay? What? Bahar says, I'm not good at writing. Adam says, poems. Okay. Tala says, I write a lot. Seema says, that's what I was hoping somebody would say, is I'm writing a diary in English sometimes. That's good, Seema. So that's the number one thing that you should be doing. If you are learning English or any language, do a diary, a journal in that language. So if you're learning English, then do a diary in English and write down your thoughts, write down your feelings, write down the things you did that day, whatever, your ideas. A daily journal is the number one way to improve your writing in English. A daily journal is the number one way to improve your writing in English. Okay? A daily journal. Yes. Journal or diary. They're the same meaning. 一样的意思都可以. Okay? So, that's great. Do a daily journal. Write down your feelings. Write down your ideas. Write down, maybe you have an idea for an invention or an app, or, words to a song or something. Write down everything you can write down. And then later, in 1 year, you can look back and you can see your language and you can see how you've improved, and you will feel good. You'll feel good when you look at that. All right? So that's number one. You need to do a daily journal. But how else can you improve your writing? You have to write. I don't care what it is. Pick something and write. Practice writing. So for example, write a poem. Write a poem or write a story, a short story. Just 2 or 3 paragraphs. Nothing too difficult. Write a song. Write an article. Write a restaurant review. Write a review of a TV show or a movie that you saw. Write a letter to your grandma. Okay? Abdo says poems are not easy for everyone. Abdo, you know what? You're wrong about that, my friend. You know what? That's the thing about poetry. There are no rules in poetry, Abdo. There are no rules. None. So guess what, Abdo? You are a great poet. You just didn't know it. And that rhymes to it. Abdo, the great poet, who just didn't know it. Abdo, in poetry, there are no rules. Whatever you feel you want to write is correct. There are no grammar rules in poetry. That's why I like poetry. Okay, yes, a list for grocery shopping, sure. Anything, lyrics, yes, whatever. Anything you can write is good practice for writing. Okay? And let me help you with this. If you're texting, maybe you're texting with some of your friends in English, but maybe you are kind of lazy when you talk with your friends because you don't care, because it doesn't need to be really good. It's just your friends, right? Well, maybe you should try harder. Just raise the bar. Raise the bar higher. Raise the bar higher and practice trying to text with better English. Don't be so lazy when you text your friends. If you're using English, try to use the best English you can. Always. Always. Okay? Okay. So that's talking about writing. Let's see what else we can talk about. I see that you have questions here, people. Tienson and South and some other people had some questions for me, but no, I'm sorry. Today, hi, my name is Teacher Mark. I'm a teacher. I'm teaching. Listen, this is a class. I am teaching. It's good. You should listen. Okay? All right, so let's go to the next part. Let's try this one. What is the best way to learn English? What is the best way to learn English? Vlad says practice. Melina says listening. Adam says teach someone. Abdo says, Abdo's been listening. Abdo, good for you, my friend. Abdo knows the answer. The answer is, the best way to learn is every way. You need to understand that your brain wants to learn in any way it can. Your brain is an incredible, incredible machine. It wants to understand things. You just have to give it things to try to understand. So, if you want to learn something, don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself by saying, well, I'm just going to try to learn by listening. Only listening is good. Or I'm only going to speak. No, no, no. No. Every way is the best way. Every way is the best way. So when I want to learn a language, yeah, I have books, I have a teacher, I have friends, I have family, I have videos, I have YouTube, I have podcasts, I have movies and TV shows, I have live streams. I have everything that I can get my hands on. That's why I call it my mountain of learning. My mountain of learning, okay? So sometimes when people learn something, they buy book 1 and they finish book 1 and then they do book 2 and they finish book 2. Then they do book 3 and they finish book 3. I don't do it that way. I buy all the books in the beginning. So I have book 1 and book 2 and book 3 and book 4 and book 5 and all the way to book 10 or however many there are. I have all of them. That's my mountain of learning. When I want to learn something, I want to see how much there is that I need to learn. So if you see that big mountain, then you know how much you have to do, and then you'll take it seriously. If you buy book 1 and you try to do only the exercises in book 1, and then book 2 and only the exercises in book 2, good luck. I couldn't do it that way. I couldn't do it that way. So I'm proposing that there's another way to learn. Don't do this beginner's, intermediate, advanced thing. Get them all in the beginning. In English, sometimes we say, every book is a children's book if that child can read. So, yeah, we say every book is a children's book if that child can read. Because if a child picks up a book and wants to try to read it, why not let them? Who cares if it's hard? Who cares? Maybe they learn something. So if your child opens up Shakespeare, are you going to say, no, 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 that's too hard for you? No. Encourage them to try. Maybe they'll learn something. Okay? So, again, what is the best way to learn, everyone? Let me hear your answers. What is the best way to learn? Every way is the best way. Every way is the best way. If you're trying to learn something, don't limit yourself. Challenge yourself. If you're trying to learn something, don't limit yourself. Challenge yourself. Okay? All right, cool. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's see, what do I have left to talk about today? We talked about building your mountain of learning. Ooh, there's a good one. Let's talk about active versus passive learning. Active versus passive learning. What is active learning and what is passive learning? Ooh, too much coffee today. What is active learning? What is passive learning? Oscar says active is when you try to learn by yourself. Okay. Fabio says active learning means when you have challenges and goals. Okay. Anyone else? Adam says active learning is when your attention is only on one subject. Okay. Anyone else? Active learning or passive learning? Vlad says active means speaking. Okay, let me try to define active versus passive learning for you from my teaching methods. Okay? So, passive learning is when you're just watching TV and you're not really trying to learn anything. You're just watching, but maybe you'll pick something up. Right? Maybe something will happen. You'll catch one word, right? Passive learning is when you're not going out trying to find something new, but something new came. That's passive learning. Okay? So in your day, some new things will happen passively and you will learn from them. Okay? Active learning is when you use your mind to actively try to find new information. Okay? Active learning is being curious. Okay? So, why is it important to know the difference between active learning and passive learning? Why is this important? Naveed and Seema says passive learning means memorizing, and passive learning involves listening, observing, and memorizing. Okay, well, none of my techniques involve memorizing. Memorizing is a big no-no in my world. There's nothing in my world that we do with memorizing. Okay, so put that away. Active learning is the best way to learn, Oscar says. Well, yeah, in general. Yeah. But here's the point, everybody. The point is, if you are an adult and you are not a student, you're working, you have a family, you have friends, you have obligations, you have things to do. You can't study the way a kid does in school, like 2 hours every day. Like, no, you can't do that. Not likely. Okay? So, you need to find a different way to learn. This means if you're an adult, then you need to learn how to turn on your active learning mind as often as you possibly can. So, if I'm watching TV, there are two different ways that I watch TV. One way is watching like Homer Simpson, and one way is watching like Albert Einstein. Okay? Sometimes when I watch TV, I want to watch like Homer Simpson. I don't want to think, I just want to watch. But I try not to do that too much. So, I would say about 60%, maybe 70% of the time. No, actually, I'll make it more than that. I'd say about 80% of the time that I watch TV or movies, I'm active learning. Okay? So, active learning, everyone, means turning on your brain and paying attention to what's coming in and trying to find a way to learn now. So, for example, let's talk about the most important part of speaking any language or learning any language. The most important part of learning any language is learning how to think in that language. They didn't tell you that, did they? Thinking in the language is the most important part of any language. So when I'm watching TV or movies, sometimes I'm watching and I'm thinking in Chinese. I'm thinking about the movie in Chinese. That's practice. Or maybe I'm shopping for groceries and I'm thinking about groceries in Chinese. Or maybe I'm doing my yard work and I'm thinking about my yard work in Chinese. So my mind is actively learning as much as I possibly can. All day. As much as I can. Okay? Yeah, sometimes I turn my brain off and I'm Homer Simpson for a little while. But I try not to do that very much. I try to be actively learning as often as I possibly can. Thinking in the language that you're trying to learn is the best thing you can do. So wake up tomorrow and start thinking in English. Wake up tomorrow and watch TV and think in English about that TV show. Okay? Thinking in the language all the time. That's right. That's what we're trying to do, Mary. We're trying to do that, right? That's the goal, right? So remember earlier we were talking about that word that I hate, fluent? That word that I hate, fluent? There's only one word that I do like that's related to the word fluent, and that's the word flow. Flow is a good thing. Flow is when you feel comfortable and relaxed and everything is coming out very smoothly. That's flow. Okay? And flow can happen when you're nice and relaxed. Okay? And thinking in the language is how you'll be relaxed. So the more you can think in English, the more relaxed you'll be when you speak English. So if you really want to improve your English, then starting tomorrow, think in English more than you think in your native language every day. Try. Try. That's the secret, okay? That's the secret, is you have to learn how to think in the language. And if you don't know how to say the thing, then that's something you can learn. All right? So every time I'm doing whatever, even when I'm watching TV at my most laziest moment, I'm still trying to find ways to learn. That's it for me. Even when I'm at my most lazy moment, I'm still trying to find ways to keep my mind actively learning. Okay? That's the difference between active learning and passive learning. Oh, let's see. What else do I have to cover here today? I know. Let me give you a good speaking practice technique that you guys probably haven't heard before. I want to teach you something called word building or phrase building. Word building and phrase building. Okay? Can I think in Russian? No, but I can think in Chinese. And Yuri, I can think in Russian with the little bit of Russian that I know, right? So if I see something and I want to think, yes, I can think da. It's small, but it works, right? So, word building and phrase building. Word building and phrase building, everybody. This is a musical technique that I'm going to teach you. So, let me show you something with my drums. Can I do that for a minute? I'm going to play drums for a second. Let's get back to what I was talking about. Word building and phrase building. Word building and phrase building. Okay, so this is a drumming technique, and I'm going to have to play the drums for a minute to show you. Okay, so hold on a second. I need to get set up just really quickly. One moment. Ooh, loud. Can you hear me? Yes, you can. All right. So, hello. What's up? So, I'm going to teach you a little technique that we use in drumming. Okay, in drumming, many times we have to learn a very, very complicated and very long phrase. But it's very long and complicated. It's hard to remember how to do it and how to play that whole long thing. So we have to come up with a way to figure out how can I learn this big, long, complicated thing. Okay, so let me just show you something. Let me think of a complicated beat that I can play, and then I'll show you how I'm going to break it down, and then I'm going to teach you that technique for English. Okay, so right now I'm playing drums. Okay, I know that's weird, but I'm going to show you how this trick on drumming can help you practice speaking. Okay, so. Ooh, too loud. Wow, so loud. Why is it so loud? Let me see. There, that's better. Okay. So I'm going to play a beat. Let's see. What beat should I do? That's the beat right there. Now, that's too long. That's too long and too hard to remember. So we don't do the whole thing. We break it down into little pieces like this. So in the beginning, I'll just play. Then I'll add the next part. Then I'll add the next part. Each time I start from the beginning and then I add another little bit. But I always go back to the beginning, and this gives you more repetition, which gives you better practice. You can use this with speaking. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so the point is what we're going to talk about is word building. So let me give you a sentence. We'll try this with a tongue twister. We'll try this with a tongue twister. So let me give you some tongue twisters. Okay, we'll start with a simple one like this one. Oh, what happened? Let's try that again. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. 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 Okay, so how can you practice that? You start with Peter. Oh, I can do that. That's easy. Peter, no problem. Then you try Peter Piper. Peter Piper. Ah, okay, that's easy. Peter Piper, Peter Piper, Peter Piper. I can do that. Peter Piper picked. Peter Piper picked. Peter Piper picked. Oh, I've got now I've got that much. Peter Piper picked a peck. Peter Piper picked a peck. Peter Piper picked a peck. Then you add the end. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. This is what we call word building or phrase building. And it's a great way for you to practice because it always goes back to the beginning and it only adds a small part each time so that you can practice your pronunciation and you can make sure that much is clear first before you move on. Okay? So, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? How much wood? How much wood? How much wood? How much wood? Okay, good. How much wood woulda? How much wood woulda? How much wood woulda? How much wood woulda? How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? 13. Which is which? That's right. Okay, so again, you can use that technique for practicing anything that's difficult for you to say in English. If you're reading a book, practice reading the sentences that way. If you're having a difficult time saying some sentence, try breaking it down like this. Don't do the whole sentence. Do just the beginning and then one part and another part and another part and another part. It's a drumming trick. It's a drumming trick. Okay? That's what we call word building or phrase building. All right. I think that's maybe going to be about it for today. I still have a lot more of my book to talk about, but it's almost, well, no, it is 1 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock right now. Huh? I have no idea what that means. Okay. So it's 1 o'clock and I have time for one person. If one person would like to come up on the stage and talk to me, raise your hand. I have time to talk with one person. I can help one person with their problems. Raise your hand and come talk to me. No one has a question for me? Is everyone scared? Oh, there's one. Carolina. Hello, Carolina.
Hi,
Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Nervous.
Ah, relax. Mucho gusto. Hola. How are you? What's new?
I was about to make uh, the food to eat.
Okay. Yeah. You're in where? The Dominican Republic?
Yes.
Okay. So you're having lunch.
No, because I was trying to make my baby sleep, and she
Oh,
sleep.
so you're just now eating
Yeah.
breakfast. Ah, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing about the word breakfast. The word breakfast, what does it look like?
Like fast because it's
It, it,
fast to
it
make.
looks like break fast. Because fasting, what does fasting mean?
And that you can do something like in a short time.
Sorry, one moment.
Okay.
Scratchy throat. No, the word fast can mean to do something quickly, right? But to fast is a verb, and to fast means to not eat for a while, right? So maybe for religions, right? On in some religions, you don't eat meat for a while, or you don't eat anything for a while, right? That's called fasting. So
I didn't
fasting,
know that.
yeah, fasting means to not eat for a long time, right? Or for some period of time. So the word breakfast, that's the first
Okay,
meal we
okay.
eat after we sleep, right? We sleep for a
Yeah.
long time and then we break
Oh my god.
our
That makes
fast.
sense.
Yeah, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
funny? Yeah, nobody knows
Yeah.
that. Even Americans don't know that.
It's interesting.
So, Carolina, did you have a question for me or something I can help you with today?
No, actually, I just wanted to participate here,
Okay. All
because
right.
I this is my first time watching um live your live, right?
Yeah.
And it was really um interesting and helped me a lot. Like when you say the fluent the fluency is not
It's not even a thing.
like,
It's
yeah,
not real. So forget
I
about it.
always yeah, I always said that I wanted to be fluent, but I know that that's not important, because even in Spanish there are some topics that I don't know about, and I can talk about that because I don't know about that topic.
Exactly. Right. So the word
Yeah.
fluid is such a weird word. So I like to think about it kind of like, like maybe one day we will live on Mars, right? But we
Yeah.
still live here right now. So do
Yeah.
things here now, right? So fluent, maybe one day we'll be fluent, but while you're here, you might as well use what you know and forget about this
Yeah.
Mars place. Forget about this fantasy world where everything is, you know everything and you can speak easily. Just use what you know and be happy.
Yes. You know what? Here in Dominican Republic, when we don't know how to say something, we say cosa, like thing. That thing.
That right,
Pass me
yeah.
that thing, and I
And
don't
guess
know
what?
that.
That's right. That's what they do in almost every language.
Yeah.
In almost every language, that's that thing, that thing. Language, Carolina. Language is in your mind. Before it's anywhere else, it has to exist in your mind, right? That's the purpose of language, is the words that are coming out of my mouth make pictures in your head. That's amazing. But then you have to be aware of, like, what words should I use to create what pictures in your head, right? That's the beauty of language. Yeah. But language is something that we think about before we write about it, before we read about it, before we speak it, before we listen to it. It's in here, right? And it's really important to remember that, because Carolina, I studied German for 3 years in high school. And they never ever told us anything about thinking in German. So the entire time I was thinking in English, learning German.
Yeah.
And that's weird. They should have just told me, hey, when you learn how to say Guten Tag, hello, Guten Tag, now when you're walking around, you could be thinking when you see people, Guten Tag, right? Just think it,
Yeah, and one thing that I have learned is that we don't have to like translate
Yeah.
because it makes it worse.
Right. Well, it could. It depends on what language you speak and it depends on your knowledge, but right. If you're translating everything from one language to another in your mind, then you're not really speaking that language, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm trying to tell everybody to start learning how to think in English now. Just start with simple things. Some of you, maybe you've already been learning English for many years, like I did with German. So you're going to have to go back to the beginning and you're going to have to start with simple things in English. So maybe your English knowledge might be better than your English mind. Understand? Because many of you've learned many English words and you've learned a lot of grammar, but you haven't been using it in your mind ever at all.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So, speaking a language is not the most important part. Thinking is. One moment. I'm sorry, Carolina. Let me get a little bit of water. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay. Bueno, chicos, este live es mío ahora. No, mentira. Oscar fue el único que me entendió.
I've been talking for 4 hours. My mouth is dry.
Hi everyone.
No, Carolina, your English is quite good. You're doing well.
Thank you. To be honest, I've been studying English by myself like 2 years ago. But I'm a little shy. Like this is a how can I say that? Because me estoy atreviendo.
You're
It's un reto. It's a challenge for me because I'm a little shy and I decided to put that away because if I don't speak, then I'm not gonna learn anything.
Thank you. Yes, that's exactly right. And you recognize that. You understand that there are certain times in life when your shyness is just really not going to help you and you have to put it away. That's exactly what we do, right? So again, there are shy musicians, right? Some musicians, they're humans too, and maybe they're shy people. But they have to perform as part of their job, so they recognize that they have to just put that away, right? Or if you're a performer like an actor, actors can be shy too, right? But you have to just put that away and do your best.
But you know what? You made me feel comfortable because you say that everyone makes mistakes and it's okay to make mistakes, but because you can learn from those mistakes.
That's right.
So,
yeah. And remember that the best performers, the best musicians, when they practice, it doesn't sound good because they're trying to challenge themselves. Right? They're not trying to show off. They're trying to challenge themselves. If they show off, it'll sound good. If they're trying to challenge themselves and push themselves and learn more, then no, it's not going to sound really good. So a musician always wants to be on the edge of their ability, which means it's going to be a little shaky sometimes. That's okay. That's all right. That's how we learn. That's how we push ourselves to get better. If you never challenge yourself, if you want to learn how to run faster, then you have to try to run fast. You can't learn how to run faster if you never try to learn how to run fast, right? So, yeah. Anyway, no, you're doing great, Carolina. Yeah. Oh, let me teach everybody. So in English, we have two words that we use. They're Italian words, actually. When we want to congratulate somebody, if they did a good job, if they did something good in English, we often use this Italian word. Either we'll say bravo or brava. Brava. And for women, we say brava, B-R-A-V-A. For men, we say bravo, B-R-A-V-O. And what does bravo mean? It means brave. You were brave. So, when someone does something great here, if someone does something brave here, then we say bravo, or for you, brava, brava. So thank you for being brave and coming on my stage and talking to me.
Thank you.
You're doing
was a
great.
pleasure.
Yeah, no, you're doing really great, and I hope that now you've already talked to one foreigner, so now you can talk to more. Okay?
Yeah.
We don't
I want
bite.
to participate next time.
Good. Yeah. We don't bite. Okay, Carolina, I'm going to let you go because I think it's time for me to go get some lunch. So, but you
Me
have
too.
your breakfast. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'll talk to you next time then, okay? Make sure you follow and come back and see me again, okay?
Yes, I already follow you.
Great. All right. See you next time then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. So it's about 1:15 almost here, everybody, and my voice is so dry. I need to take a break. I need to go get some lunch. I've been talking for 2 or 3 hours straight, and yeah, I need a break. So, but I hope you guys learned a lot today. I will upload these live streams later. So there were 2 live streams today, and they both had a lot of really good, important tips for language learning. So I will edit those later, and then I'll upload them hopefully today, maybe tomorrow. Okay, so you can find them on my YouTube channel. If you want to follow me, then you can follow me here on Hello Talk, but you can also follow me on all of my other pages, right? So if you want to follow me on TikTok or YouTube or Facebook, then go to that web post, go to that moment, and you can see all of my links right there, okay? And one more thing. If you have a question, maybe you have a question that you wanted to ask me today, and you didn't get a chance to ask me, send me your video questions. Okay, send me your questions to afiecenglish@gmail.com. If you have an English question about grammar or vocabulary or pronunciation or idioms or learning or anything, send me a 1-minute video. Less than 1 minute. Okay? Tell me your name. Tell me where you are from, what city and what country, and then tell me your question. 3 things. Okay? Send it to my email. I will make a video and I will answer your question and I will post it on TikTok and post it on YouTube and Facebook. Okay, so if you have a question for English, if you have any English questions at all, send me your questions. Send me your questions. Where can you see my YouTube? You can see my YouTube right here. One moment. My YouTube channel is right here. On that YouTube channel, there are about 20 of these live streams uploaded that you can watch as many times as you want. Okay? So there's my my YouTube channel. Go check it out. Go watch the videos. Leave some comments. Like the posts. All right? And if you like music, go to sugarcampmusic.com. 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 That's my rock band. If you want to see what my rock band is like. Okay, I gotta go. My voice too dry. So, once again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for following. Thank you guys for participating. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon. Have a good evening wherever you are in the world. And don't forget to be a language warrior. You're not allowed to be shy. Sorry. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.